A sheriff humiliated a woman in public. He didn't know who she was. The diner was already full when she walked in. Late afternoon crowd, truckers by the window, an elderly couple sharing pie, a few locals killing time over coffee. Nothing unusual. She chose the counter, placed her bag at her feet, and ordered quietly. Her clothes were plain. Her posture wasn't. She sat straight, calm, eyes observant but relaxed, like someone who knew how to disappear without shrinking. No one noticed her at first. Then the door swung open hard enough to rattle the bell. The sheriff entered like he owned the air. Big voice, big steps, badge catching the light like it demanded attention. Conversations dipped instantly. This was his town. Everyone knew it. He scanned the room, then his eyes landed on her. Something about her annoyed him. Maybe it was the way she didn't look away. Maybe it was the calm. He walked closer, boots heavy, stopping just beside her stool. "You sitting there long?" he asked, tone sharp, unnecessary. She turned her head slightly. "Just got here," she replied, polite, neutral. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. "That seat's reserved," he said. "For who?" she asked. A few people glanced over now. He leaned in, breath heavy with authority. "For people who matter." A pause. You could feel it stretch. She didn't argue. She didn't raise her voice. "I'll move when I'm done," she said calmly. That was enough. His hand came out of nowhere, fast, loud. The crack echoed through the diner. Her head snapped to the side. Coffee spilled. A fork clattered to the floor. Silence dropped like a curtain. Someone gasped. The cook froze mid-step. The sheriff straightened, chest out. "That's what happens," he said loudly, "when you forget your place." She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She slowly turned her head back to face him. Her cheek reddened, but her eyes were steady, focused, not afraid. The calm unsettled him more than anger ever could. "You done?" she asked quietly. A murmur rippled through the diner. The sheriff laughed once, sharp and ugly. "You think you're special?" he said. "In my town?" She reached down, wiped the spilled coffee with a napkin, then folded it neatly. "No," she said. "I think you are." A few people shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't how these things went. The sheriff leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You should leave before this gets worse." She stood, slowly. The stool scraped softly against the floor. She was shorter than him, but somehow the space between them shrank. "I will," she said, "after I finish." He scoffed. "Finish what?" She looked around the diner, at the people pretending not to stare, at the cameras mounted near the ceiling, at the window. "Letting you show everyone who you really are." His smile faded. "You threatening me?" he asked. She shook her head once. "No," she replied. "I'm documenting you." That word landed wrong. His jaw tightened. "You think anyone will believe you?" She reached into her bag, slowly, deliberately. Every muscle in the room tensed. She pulled out her phone and placed it on the counter, screen still recording. "They already are," she said. The sheriff glanced around. Too late. Too many eyes. Too many witnesses. He straightened his jacket. "Turn that off," he ordered. She didn't. "I asked you to leave," he said louder. She finally looked straight into his eyes. "You didn't ask. You assaulted." That word echoed louder than the slap. Assault. Someone in the back stood up. Another whispered. The sheriff reached for the phone. She moved faster, not aggressive, precise. She stepped back, creating space without touching him. That's when he noticed it, the mark near her collar. Not a badge, not jewelry, a small emblem stitched into the lining of her jacket, briefly visible as she shifted. His eyes narrowed. He'd seen it before, long ago, in a briefing he barely remembered. His confidence flickered. "Where did you get that?" he asked. She adjusted her jacket, covering it again. "Issued," she replied. His throat went dry. The room felt smaller now. The sheriff took a step back without realizing it. And in that moment, he understood something terrible. He hadn't just humiliated a woman in public. He had made a mistake, one that was already bigger than him. The range didn't return to normal after that. The shots resumed, but something had shifted. The confidence was still there, but it had edges now, sharper, quieter. The laughter didn't come as easily. Every time she walked past the line with a fresh target, eyes followed her, pretending not to. The Navy SEAL who had handed her the rifle stood slightly apart from the others now, not because he was embarrassed, because he was thinking, replaying the way she'd held the weapon, the breathing, the control. Those weren't habits you picked up casually. When the drill paused again, he walked over to her while she was stacking unused targets. "You said a long time ago," he said. "That wasn't civilian training." She didn't stop working. "No." "Active?" She slid the last stack into place. "Once." He studied her face, searching for rank, for age, for any clue that would make it make sense. "You don't miss," he said. "Not a compliment, a fact." She finally looked at him. "Neither do you." That earned a quiet smile. The range officer cleared his throat and raised his voice. "Final drill, moving targets, volunteers only." No one stepped forward immediately. The SEAL glanced at her. "You're not on the list," he said almost to himself. "I know." He hesitated, then did something no one there would forget. He turned toward the range officer. "I'll sit this one out." A few heads snapped around. Before anyone could question it, he stepped back and nodded toward her. "Let her run it." The range officer frowned. "She's support staff." The SEAL didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. "She's qualified." The pause stretched, then the officer sighed. "One run." She stepped onto the line as the targets began to move, fast, unpredictable. This wasn't about accuracy anymore, this was about instinct. The first target appeared. She fired. Hit. The second crossed hard left. Hit. The third popped up late. She adjusted mid-breath. Hit. The rhythm was different now, faster, sharper. There was no room for thought, only muscle memory and trust in training that never really leaves you. The final target appeared for less than a second. She fired without hesitation. Hit. The range went completely still. No one clapped, no one spoke. Even the instructors stood frozen, staring through scopes like they'd just seen something that didn't fit into any category they knew. The SEAL exhaled slowly. "That unit patch," he said. "They retired it years ago." She lowered the rifle. "Some of us didn't retire with it." He nodded once. Deep respect now. "Why are you here?" She handed the rifle back. "Because sometimes the best place to stand is where no one's looking." She picked up the stack of targets and walked away again, leaving behind a range full of elite soldiers who had just been reminded of something they'd all learned once and maybe forgotten. Skill doesn't announce itself.